During a speech widely panned as rambling and angry, Donald Trump lied over and over, cast himself as a victim, as he so often does, and he capped it all off by taking aim at the top Republican in the Senate, Mitch McConnell, for not fully supporting Donald Trump's efforts to, bring to a close 240 years of American democracy. Trump called McConnell a dumb son of a bee and a stone-cold loser for not trying hard to overturn an election. Quote, if that were Schumer instead of this done son of a bee Mitch McConnell, they would never allow it to happen. They would have fought it. And Senate Majority Leader Chuck Schumer, Democrat of New York, joins me now. Senator, I suppose in the former president's estimation, it's a compliment to say that you would engage in an anti-democratic coup on behalf of your faction, though I doubt you probably would. But what did you make of that?
Well, what I make of it, the question that everyone's asking is, why is there such a dichotomy between the Republican voters, electorate, and the Republican senators? For instance, 60% of Republicans think the ARP, the American Rescue Plan, the most comprehensive progressive piece of legislation we've passed in decades, is a good thing. How many Republican senators voted for it? 0. Why? And it's because Trump still controls them. They're still afraid of him. He wants nothing to succeed. He's sort of nihilist is too strong a word. He's an egotistical man who wants to bring everything down because he lost. And so you have this division. It ends up hurting the Republican Party, but it also hurts America. Now, we're not going to let that stop us. We'd always prefer to work with the Republicans when we can. But if we can't, just as we showed in the American Rescue Plan, even if they're not with us, we are going to get it done, and the American people will be on our side.
Yeah, the infrastructure bill, which you mentioned, which is also polling quite well and has some bipartisan support, at least among voters. It was interesting. I was watching Roger Wicker of Mississippi, and there's a little bit of a funny whack-a-mole game happening with this bill, where Republicans say, we don't want you raising corporate taxes. We want to leave it where it is. We don't want you funding this with gas taxes, but we don't want deficit spending. And when you sort of put everything together, it's like, well, you don't really want the bill, right? I mean, that's really where we're at again.
Yeah, well, I hope not. Look, we'd always prefer our Republicans to work with us, but only to produce big, bold action. We're not going to repeat the mistakes of 2009 and 10, where they dragged things out for a year and a half. And then we got one good thing done, but certainly not enough. And they cut that stimulus bill, the original ARA bill, by so much that the recession dragged on for years. We're not repeating that mistake. So if they will join with us, of course, we'll sit down and talk to them and see if they have this suggestion or that, but not at sacrificing the bold, progressive change that America demands and America needs. And we're going to get it done. People say, how the heck are you going to get this done? They said the same thing before the ARP. They said, the Senate will never pass it. Well, we did. And it's benefiting the American people. And just one point, Chris, we promised them that if we changed the leadership in the Senate, and by the way, this is the first time I'm on as your majority leader, and if we changed the presidency, they'd see real results. And they are seeing it. They're seeing the checks. They're seeing the vaccines. They're seeing the money for the schools. The restaurants are seeing money so they don't have to close. The list goes on and on and on. And so the fact that, we're breaking through some of the cynicism that, it doesn't matter which party's in power, nothing gets done, is going to help us in the long term pass the infrastructure bill, and I think a lot else, too.
I want to follow up on that in your caucus, but since you raised this, I want to talk about a small but concrete measure that has actually been a little bit of a hobby horse of mine in this program over the last year. FEMA has the ability to help pay for funeral expenses for the survivors of people who lost their lives in the midst of an American disaster who don't have the money to do that. It was a fairly simple, straightforward thing that the last administration could have done and did not. It's something that I think both Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez and yourself, among others, have advocated for. My sense it was included in the American Rescue Plan statutorily.
It was. Yes.
Is that program now up and running?
Yes, and this is really great news that I just heard a few minutes ago. The legislation, Congress Congresswoman Ocasio-Cortez and myself urged urged FEMA to set up a hotline. And today we announced they set up a hotline, and we just heard a few minutes ago that 1 million people called that hotline today. You know, it's amazing. And you were on the money about this, Chris. It used to break my heart to watch children and grandchildren push their faces up against that thick hospital glass and look at the loved one passing away, their parent, their grandparent. They couldn't hug them. They couldn't touch them. They couldn't kiss them. And then adding insult to injury, they didn't have money for a funeral and the bodies would lie in a morgue. So now at least there's the money for a proper burial and a proper funeral. We did this under Sandy. FEMA did it on its own and other disasters. Trump wouldn't do it. Congresswoman Ocasio-Cortez called me up and said, there's a disaster here in Corona. This was early on in the crisis. I said, why don't we try to pass legislation? We did. And look at the results, 1 million calls in the first day.
And that money will be, it's not just, is it retroactive as well, or is it prospective? Meaning
yes.
You can be reimbursed, right?
You can be reimbursed. And that's why we set up a hotline. They will tell you how to gather a list of your expenses.
Right.
The hotline will speak a bunch of different languages. The people will be compassionate, they've assured us, understanding, and help people get through how to get this reimbursement. It's not going to be hard. And it's a good thing amidst this disaster of FEMA to at least give people the assurance, even if they don't have their jobs and don't have money, that a loved one who dies will get a proper burial and a proper funeral. It's what we should be doing.
Quickly, final question for you. One word response to characterize your relationship with Joe Manchin. Go.
I'm not going to give one word. I always try to show Joe respect, but I also tell him when we disagree and tell him how we have to move forward. He has his viewpoints, but as I said, in the most major pieces of legislation, Joe Manchin voted for the bill and it passed.
Hey, thanks for watching our YouTube channel. You should know that you can follow today's top stories and breaking news and catch up on your favorite MSNBC shows all in one place. Download the NBC News app today.